You guys should get that continue recording thing. Did it come up?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So let me just get onto my right. So welcome to Social Conscience launch event of 2021. So this is just kind of the itinerary of the day. It's really rough. We might be a bit longer. Well, I doubt longer. Might be a bit shorter. It's just, yeah. So we're going to welcome the story of social conscience and why I kind of decided to do this. And then we're going to introduce Izzy, the founder of Beyond the Body. And then we're going to get into the main event of upcycling clothes, and then just kind of reflect. And if you guys have any questions for Izzy or myself, or just like we'll have a general chit chat. So social conscience I kind of decided to do for my FMP because I wanted to create a fashion media community that provides Generation Z an opportunity to start a conversation about slow fashion and the climate change. But the key thing there was I wanted to make it positive because I find that mainstream media create quite a fear mongering vibe, if that makes sense, and I wanted to remove that because I think that often scares people to even kind of look into anything or even bother trying to be sustainable, because it's like, oh, climate change is coming, is there even anything we can do? So yeah, that's where Social Conscience was born. Then we kind of got onto the event, and it's Occupying Fast Fashion Minds. So I just need to move myself. So Occupying Fast Fashion Minds, we found that we done a survey, and we found that mood had a large impact on whether people shopped or not. And we also found people identified it to be a form of self-love. And we wanted to show you guys alternatives to self-love that didn't have a negative impact on the environment that fast fashion does have, if that makes sense. So from that, our hashtag kind of blossomed. So you would have seen on like my Instagram post, it's retail therapy isn't therapy. And it's almost a reminder to show you that, yeah, you get that feel good after buying that top, but it's very short-lived and it doesn't have that same sense of fulfillment of the alternatives we're going to show you today. And also these are much better for the environment and they don't contribute to fast fashion. So we're going to begin and indulge in some sustainable self-love. Okay, it's not, why isn't it moving? Okay, so we're going to do a little quiz. Obviously, we're going to do a Zoom quiz because we love a Zoom quiz because of lockdown. This is just pretty chilled, but it's basically to get the context of the current climate, because I felt like it was important. I can't go and show you loads of alternatives to fast fashion and not give you a reason why. So it just kind of gives you the, you know, the backstory of why we're doing this. So it's very chilled, like don't feel pressure, but just don't Google it. Any please? Cheaters never prosper. So we're going to start with the first question. So according to the World Resource Institute, how many litres of water does it take to make one cotton shirt? And I'll tell you the answer straight away rather than going through them all, if that makes sense. So I'll give you time to confer with yourselves, or if you're Sam and Gemma together. Yes. Any ideas?
70?
70 litres.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay. 20?
Okay. So the answer for one cotton shirt, it takes 2,700 litres of water.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot. And bear in mind, like that's going to be farming the cotton and things like that, as well as making it into a yarn and then making it into the t-shirt and all things like that. So yeah, just for one cotton shirt, that's a lot. Right, so next question is, what is the total worth of clothing that is sent to UK landfill each year? Any ideas?
Billions. in the billions. 7
So-
billion.
Oh, well, so it's 140. It's 140 million pounds a year.
Oh, bit less than billions.
Less than billions, but still quite big.
A lot.
Yeah, and then hopefully this question makes sense. So how long do you think it would take to reduce carbon waste and water to 20 to 30% just by extending the life cycle of clothing? So if you was to buy a top and rather than throwing it out, you kept it for a certain amount of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think so. Well, the answer is 9 months. So it would take 9 months to reduce the carbon waste and water to 20 to 30% if you guys were to extend the life cycle of some of your clothing. So
And by extend, do you mean keep it longer than you normally would?
Yeah, and there's many ways that you can extend the life cycle of clothing. So like what we're going to do today is upcycling, whether that's, making it into a new silhouette, so you make a top into a bag, or that kind of thing. There's different alternatives, so that's what we're going to kind of go through today. And then the fourth question is, what percentage does fashion contribute to global greenhouse gas emissions?
I think 60. 70.
Oh, well, it's a bit less than that. I feel like now I'm like saying all these big numbers, but this is a small number, but it's still kind of big to be global.
30.
So it's 10.
Oh.
But when you look at like the top, I think the top was either energy or transport, and that was only 26%. So when you look at it, when transport's obviously a global thing and it's necessary, whereas fashion is a luxury. So when you see it's creating 10% of that in comparison, you have to look at it like that, I guess. And then last question is, which European country, according to a list report in 2020, had the largest increase in people searching for sustainable fashion? So which country do you guys think is kind of trending on the sustainable fashion train?
Denmark.
France?
Spain.
What did you say, Lauren?
Denmark.
Correct. So Denmark, there was 114% increase in the searching of sustainable clothing. And if you guys want to know, so the UK, it was only a 17% increase.
Oh. We need to do
Got some work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the quiz. So it just gets you thinking about what we're going to talk about today, and just it's just like a reminder as to maybe why you guys might alter your habits of what you buy and why you buy it. So then we're going to introduce Izzy, which she's the founder of Beyond the Body. So just to do like a little introduction on Izzy, Beyond the Body is, I don't know if I'm going to say this right.
It's fine.
Naturopathic wellness studio that aims to inspire and educate us. Yeah. Did I get it right? Okay.
Yeah.
I was practicing with Jack and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to say it right.
Oh, bless you. Yeah.
And inspire and educate us all about all things holistic health. So Izzy promotes and encourages good choices for your mind and body. And I believe that this is a foundation of thinking outside of yourself and becoming mindful of other areas of your lifestyle and what impact that has on not only other people, but the world. And Beyond the Body is a great example of how to get that feel-good feeling from within and not seek it from buying clothes. So Izzy, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, and then we'll kind of give it to the other guys if they have any questions for you or any kind of, queries, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just like, why did you get into the holistic approach, and why do you feel it's important to encourage others to do that?
So my kind of why is a little bit complicated. So back in 2019, I ended up suffering really badly from depression and anxiety, which was something I wasn't really aware of and never really experienced before. It was kind of due to working in a fast-paced London bank, which ended up kind of just deteriorating my life, basically. Yeah. So I ended up struggling quite badly with that. which left me feeling quite lost in lots of ways. And I ended up kind of spending my whole time inside, and I didn't really leave the house, and yeah, that sort of stuff. And I ended up about 9 months kind of from figuring out that I was depressed, and I was kind of trying to help myself by seeing a therapist, and I ended up being put on antidepressants to try and help stabilize my brain, I guess.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I decided to actually want to get better and want to try and change how I was feeling, I started to kind of just having the feeling of wanting to learn. So I was like, I don't really mind what it is, but I just want to learn. So I ended up like listening to podcasts that I hadn't really listened to before, that were kind of based around a holistic kind of view on life and wellness and all that sort of stuff. Then I started reading books to try and help myself. And it wasn't until I kind of incorporated all of them that I saw a shift in how I was feeling and kind of completely changed my mindset, which is then how I kind of went on to learning about being a naturopath and what kind of that meant, where I kind of just spiraled from there. So yeah, that was probably my why I started. And probably the reason I think it's so important is because I think lots of people can feel quite lost in either their life, their job, kind of appearance, if you want to say, like loads of different aspects. And sometimes you can kind of get stuck. I definitely found myself feeling stuck in that way. And I knew that just by these small, simple steps to kind of help myself, it ended up making a massive difference to my whole life and whole purpose and career. So I find that, that's probably why I think it's important to incorporate it into your life, and why I want to start a business. And I've gone back to doing a 4-year science degree to kind of get my bachelor's degree in becoming a naturopath. That was probably my why.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, lots of people don't really know that. Like, it seems like quite a deep story, which
that's nice. That's nice because it gives meaning, and it kind of encourages people. Oh, like there's actually a story behind it, and it's a genuine story.
Yeah, it kind of makes me more passionate about helping other people in that sort of aspect, because lots of us go through different hard times in our lives, and I feel like lots of ways just seeing a Western like doctor to kind of help you in a way of just masking it with medication isn't necessarily what can change your life and what can make you actually better. It kind of masks those problems, but it doesn't necessarily take you in becoming a better person.
So kind of going on to the forms of self-love that you would recommend from your aspect of
so mine started off with being, I always recommend creating a really good AM and PM routine. So that can look from anything. So I personally I find meditating really helps me. It's one of those things that people can sometimes feel a little bit unsure if it will work or if it's for them. And I kind of always recommend trying something, because everybody is different. So you might not feel the same as everybody, but I always kind of say that's a really good way of starting it, using it in your AM or PM routine. I also do a lot of walking outside, which is something quite simple, but when you feel a bit low or you want to kind of boost your energy, I sometimes find just taking yourself out of your current situation that you're in, that might be where you're working or whatever it might be, and kind of incorporating that. Another thing I like to do is I like to listen to podcasts that kind of boost your energy, that kind of resonate with where you are at the moment. I like to, what else is always a good thing? Journaling is something I'm quite passionate about trying. It's one of those things that seem like they wouldn't work, because it's almost like, well, what would I write down and why would that help me? But I do it for kind of keeping myself accountable for what I want and my passion and my goals, and how things that can make you feel better. Because I think sometimes when you have these big goals or whatever, it sometimes feels daunting to be able to achieve them. So I always find that journaling or just kind of letting out what you're feeling in that moment really help. Lots of things like that. They're the main things that I probably recommend or use. And then